So recently the trailer dropped for that upcoming Kenobi series, the thing that Star Wars fans have been clamoring about for a long time now. Overall, it looked good. Then they blasted Duel of Fates, and suddenly I was like, God damn it, you got me. Though as the dust began to settle and I thought about it some more, I'm just not excited for this thing. If anything, I'm more confused by it. When I say confused, I don't mean confused in the sense that I'm finding some of its creative choices to be a bit questionable, but more so in the, why does this thing exist? And why is this the thing everyone has wanted since day one? Let's go back to 2005. The prequel trilogy is finally over after 6 long, agonizing years. Everyone and their dog had the same exact thoughts.
Well, this sucks.
Revenge of the Sith certainly had a better reception than the two before it, but the damage was done. These films were ubiquitously agreed as being bad. But Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan was always seen as a highlight, even amongst the most vocal of detractors. You could argue that McGregor and even Ian McDiarmid were the only ones that came out of these films completely unscathed. McDiarmid is a toasted ham sandwich in these things, and understood the assignment perfectly. McGregor, on the other hand, despite times where he looks bored as hell and has to say some truly awful lines, is actually trying his best despite the material. It's why I find these interviews with McGregor talking about the prequel's recent positivity unsurprising. The most agreed upon best part of the prequels is showered with praise? Mild shock, I tell you. Mild shock. But once the prequel trilogy was done, that was it. You weren't getting any more movies, no live-action shows for that matter, and streaming wasn't a thing in the slightest. So anyone who said, we want more of him, well, tough shit, I guess. Then in 2012, everything changed. Disney bought Lucasfilm, and we were getting more Star Wars. Not only were we getting a new trilogy, but we were also getting Star Wars content in the form of everything. Movies, books, games, comics, and eventually television. So naturally, everyone and their dog just assumed something involving Ewan McGregor as Kenobi was guaranteed to happen no matter what. Because we are getting Star Wars stuff until the ice caps melt and we all die, it isn't exactly out of the realm of possibility to think that something you yourself have always wanted could one day be a reality. But I'd argue this created a weird expectation for fans. Everything you've ever wanted is just a matter of when, not if. It's not if someone wants to make this thing, it's when will it be made and released. Seriously, go back to articles from 2012 of the acquisition. You will find endless comments of those saying, make an Obi-Wan movie. As the years went on, there was no announcement for a Kenobi film. Various vague comments by McGregor all pointed to the same conclusion. Wouldn't that be fun if it happened? Then, of course, there was Solo, which to me served as a sort of dry run, for lack of a better term, for character-focused spin-offs for Star Wars. While I myself enjoyed the film, this thing was a giant PR disaster, right from day one. From initial announcement up until release, the question was always the same. Why is this a thing? Every conversation about Solo went exactly like this. A Han Solo movie? That's dumb. Who's asking for this? Character-focused spin-off films for Star Wars are stupid. Long pause. But make an Obi-Wan film, as obviously none of that applies to him. This is quite literally what Jeremy Jahns said. Then of course Solo did come out and didn't break bank. Some argue that a Kenobi film would have done better, and yeah, it probably would have, but I really don't think by that much. And because no one saw Solo, it set in on fans immediately. Character-focused spin-off films are out, so no Obi-Wan film then. All was lost. For now. Then, of course, came the announcement. We were getting a Kenobi limited series. 6 episodes of Kenobi out sometime in 2022. This was real. It was happening, and once again became a game of hurry up and wait. And hurry up and wait was the name of the game. In early 2020, the series was put on hold due to rewrites. That may or may not have involved removing Darth Maul? I honestly don't know. Nor do I care. And anyone claiming this to be a missed opportunity is lying to themselves, frankly. And of course, COVID complicated the whole thing. It was still going to be a thing, but it wasn't exactly safe to be making it in the middle of the pandemic. Of course, production began, it was all just a matter of waiting. Again. Some set photos of McGregor in costume certainly got people excited, and the realization that, oh, this thing really is happening.
That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So now that I've gone over the history leading up to this series, I now have to ask the very important question. Why do people want this thing? No, seriously, of all the Star Wars projects that have been and ever will be, how did this one thing become the one thing that everyone came in collective agreement and said, this is what we want? Maybe I'm just cynical, but I've yet to hear anyone give me a truly compelling reason as to why this is the thing everyone wants. The most common answer I get is, so Ewan McGregor can show his talents and really own the character. But if it's agreed he's the best part of the prequel trilogy, why would you need something outside of it in order to solidify that? Part of me wonders if those who want this thing the most are those who feel embarrassed that the only way you can enjoy his performance is by watching the prequels. It's like when Spider-Man No Way Home came out and suddenly everyone wanted Amazing Spider-Man 3 to be a thing, all because people really liked Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. If McGregor as Kenobi is in something that's actually good, then you don't have to feel ashamed anymore. That might sound a bit extreme, but that's the vibe I sometimes get from people. And maybe that's the other aspect I find so head-scratching about this whole thing. How much story is there seriously to work with here? I think there's even less than people expect. It's probably why Darth Vader is being shoved into this thing. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. My interest dwindled the moment Vader was announced he was going to be in it, and that he and Kenobi are going to fight. Part of me hoped it was some sort of metaphorical conflict or something. Then the sizzle reel showed concept art of them quite literally fighting. Henry Ford once famously said, if I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And that might be the best way to describe this thing. A faster horse. The thing that people claim to want because they already have it and don't know any better. Fans not knowing what they want isn't exactly new, but it doesn't help that cast and crew interviews for this all say the same thing.
There's a hunger for this character to come back. The fans have been waiting long enough, you know?
It's what the fans want. The pessimist in me thinks, at worst, this show will be nothing more than 6 episodes of characters you recognize, saying lines you recognize, doing things you recognize. 5-6 years ago, I would have been all for this, but I don't think I could have told you why. Now whenever I think about it, I just feel confused. Maybe part of me wishes Star Wars would do something with even the slightest bit of boldness or integrity to it. Most of the projects to come all feel like variations of a faster horse, so to speak. I didn't want to make this video to kill anyone's hype for this thing, or make anyone feel bad for wanting this thing. If anything, I want to be hyped for this thing, yet I'm not. Of course I say this knowing full well I'm probably going to watch and most likely enjoy it, so what do I know? Joke's on me, I guess.